Welcome. My name is Natasha Sherman, and I am your host. And this is part 2 of an interview with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He is the author of the New York Times best-selling list, Eat to Live, best-selling book, and in the last year published Super Immunity. So welcome.
Thank you. Enjoying being here.
I am excited to have you here because just in skimming through the books and reading bits and pieces, I'm highly motivated to change my life, truly.
Great.
And so there's so much valuable information. And in this half, I'm going to throw a lot of questions at you because, as you say, we need to be educated, and there are so many myths out there. But one of the places I want to start is, you know, we all talk about, you know, going on a diet, and it's hard, and I think we psych ourselves into thinking that it's hard, and we're so unwilling to be uncomfortable for any length of time. But you say, accept no excuse to fall off the wagon in the first 6 weeks. You can break the addiction only if you give your body a fair chance. So in the first 6 weeks, do people actually do it exactly the way you prescribe it?
You know, there's different ways you can do this. And one is you can go into it cold turkey, where you drop all your unhealthy foods and eat really healthy. And I do recommend that as that's my most preferred way people do it, because it's the biggest probability people are going to succeed long term if they do it that way. It's like telling you you can quit smoking in different ways too. You can cut back little by little on cigarettes over a period of months and then quit. Or you can just quit cold turkey now. You know, I can put you into a facility because you're coming off your cocaine or your heroin, and you can put you away. If we put you away for 6 or 12 weeks in a rehab facility, we know that the longer you're away from that cocaine or that heroin, the higher the probability you're not going to go back to it again. Whereas you stay off it just a week or two, or if you just try to dabble in it on the weekends, there's more chance there's going to be recidivism and problems.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with food. If I can get you through that 6-week period, I can remove your sugar cravings. I can remove your addictive drive to want to eat. You can't possibly think of giving up these foods now. But once you've given them up for 6 weeks, you won't feel biochemically driven to consume them, and you'll be better able to control your appetite and your desire and your choices of what you want to eat. And if you want to go out to eat on a weekend or have a meal that's not on the diet, that'll be okay because you won't feel that it won't trigger a binge or it won't trigger you going totally crazy the whole week. Whereas now, you haven't gotten through that period where you really gotten rid of that addictive relationship with food. So it's my preferred way. But if I gave that method to everybody, like if IBM said, I want to take 10,000 of your diet book, one of your books, for health books for my employees, and give it away to all our executives, I'll say, well, why would we not give them the one that makes them do the full 6 weeks, you know, because most of them will just say, oh, that sounds great, but I'm not doing that. Right. So I want to give them one that brings it into more gradually and isn't so aggressive. So I think that there is some option to people to make a choice here. It's not an all or nothing plan.
Right. But the preferred way is?
The preferred way, I think that if a person has a serious condition and they're really struggling with significant overweight or they have a health issue, I think they should do this all the way and make a commitment for a full 6 weeks. It's going to increase the probability. First of all, it could save their life. And you know, I often say to people, you know, because people come to me, they're diabetic, they're overweight, they have heart disease, they have a lot of medical problems. And I'm doing it, you know, and I'll say, do you want to just lose 5 pounds a month, or do you want me to take off 15 pounds a month and 10 pounds the second month, so you lose 25 pounds in the first 2 months? I'll give you you want the full plan, it's going to give you 25 pounds in the first 2 months, or you just want to do the one slowly? Now, you know, the point is, it's just as much struggle and just as much effort and a lot more like feeling ill and you know, with doing the one that takes off 3 or 4 pounds a month as the one that takes off the 25 pounds. You might as well,
you're prolonging the struggle.
You're prolonging the struggle, and 95% effort is 95% effort. You're already putting in 95% effort. Why not put in 100% and get like 3 times the results? The fantastic results occur in that little 5% you didn't think you were willing to do.
Right.
You know? So I say to people sometimes, when you got married and the person that married you, did they ask you to see whether you would give this a shot, give it a try, see whether you like it? And the first little obstacle comes along, run away. You know, or do you have to think?
That's a great analogy.
You know,
because if it's that level, I think it takes that level of commitment.
Yes, because when you're trying to get rid of an addiction, the person has to because the word try is a dirty word.
Yes.
The word try means you're giving yourself the permission to quit. Just when you hit an obstacle,
Yes.
And this is going to be an obstacle because you're not going to feel good when you do this. You're going to feel worse the first week. You know, we know the first 3 or 4 days is tough. So the first obstacle or stress, the person just gives it up. No, you've got to make the commitment right now. And that means no matter good, bad, no matter how you feel, you've got to get through the first couple of weeks. You know you're going to feel better after a week anyway.
Right.
And you're going to feel a little bit fuzzy maybe the second week, but not too bad. But after that, you're going to feel better than you ever felt in your life, and it's going to set the groundwork, set up the ability to you to really have a better life for the rest of your life after you're off the cigarettes and off whatever it is you're doing and off this and off the, you know,
caffeine and fat and all that stuff.
The American diet, of course, I'm saying is just as deadly or more deadly than smoking cigarettes. We don't have to compare the two really because they're both equal, they're both bad. But the idea that cigarettes, you know, because you know kids learn in school how bad cigarettes are. You know, and you go to people go to their churches or something, and they're, you know, but they're giving out donuts and they're, you know, they're serving. You go to your kid's soccer game. The parents are bringing Doritos and, you know, and donut holes, and what they're trying to poison your kid. Poison your own kid at home. Don't have enough trouble getting my kid to eat healthy. Don't bring the poisonous food to feed my kid, please. You know, so,
right.
But the point is, we live in this society, and it's like everybody's out there. They're all addiction. They're all addicts. And it's socially acceptable because everybody's doing it, you know?
Exactly. And I think that's what the lie we tell ourselves. Yeah. Everybody's doing it. Not everybody's dying, so it's not that bad. It's okay once in a while or whatever.
Right.
And our kids, and we become addicted. I'm going to run a number of things by you in terms of foods and choices and whatever else, and I just want you to tell me a little bit about them.
Sure.
So dairy, good or bad?
Well, I've classified food into different categories. Let's just broadly, because I'm going to classify dairy as an animal product.
Okay.
With meat and chicken and fish and with that category. And then I have another category called processed and refined foods. That's sugar and flour, you know, cookies, crackers, rice cakes, breakfast bars, chips, soft drinks.
The list is endless.
You know, the list, yeah, exactly. That's, you know, and then there's unrefined plant foods, which are like fruits and vegetables, beans and seeds, you know, things like that.
The good stuff.
Right. So here's what you have to recognize. This is a concept that's not hard, it's quite simple, is that the full cornucopia of phytochemicals and antioxidants that protects us against cancer and heart disease, prevent inflammation of the body, that's just not vitamins and minerals, more than 1,000 different phytochemicals that are important for human and immune function. And they're found in natural plant foods. When we process and refine the foods, they're lost. So those nutrients that are the anti-cancer effects are not in the processed foods, and they're not in animal products. Processed foods give us just mostly, you know, carb calories with no nutrients in them. And the animal products mostly give us macronutrients, you know, they're calories, protein and fat, which make it, and they have a little bit of vitamins and minerals in them, but they have no antioxidants and no phytochemicals. The overall micronutrient load in animal products is very low compared to unrefined plant food like produce. So now the question is, the American diet, of course, is 27% animal products, 62% processed foods, and about 9% produce, where half of that 9% is white potato products. So
wow.
Now, if we move the...
So you're saying the most valuable thing to eat, where it comprises now about 4 or 5% of our diet.
Exactly. Take out the white potatoes and the ketchup, the French fries and the ketchup, it's less than 5% of the American diet. Now, we know that as produce, the unrefined plant foods that contain the antioxidants and phytochemicals increase in a diet, we see heart attacks and cancers and diabetes go down in proportion. So when you ask me the question about dairy, I have to say that that's an animal product. It's designed to produce rapid growth in an animal early in life, and producing rapid growth in an adult means excess weight and promotes cancers. And that we should be minimizing animal products because Americans consume much too much. It doesn't mean you can't eat any animal products. It means we have to eat considerably less than we're eating right now. And
we should probably put it into what we're now eating in phytonutrients. We should put it in that category, that 5%.
Now, you must have read my books then.
Well, I've read part of them, but I can't wait to read all of them.
So yes, that's what I'm saying. And
what about yogurt? Is it different because it's fermented, or does it have better value, or?
Well, it has some you know, healthy bacteria, probiotics in it and stuff. But it's usually most yogurt's consumed with a big lump of sugar and jelly mixed in with it. It's not really, and so I'm not really. If you're using for most Americans who are overweight, I wouldn't recommend they have fruit-flavored yogurt with the jelly and the sugar in it. If they're going to have the yogurt, it would be it will go into their choices of their animal products they're consuming. But maybe they should eat it with berries mixed in it, and not the fruit-flavored berry jam in it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Tofu. Healthy, not healthy? There are reports about soy products, and that are negative, and other reports that say, oh, it's a great, what do you think?
Well, corn is a natural food that's pretty wholesome. When we make it into Doritos or Fritos corn chips, I wouldn't consider it healthy just because it's made from corn.
Right.
It all depends on how much you process the food. The wheat berry itself, if made into, as a grain, is pretty healthy. But when we grind it into a flour and we make it into a pastry flour, it's more glycemic. Then we make it into white flour, it's even more glycemic. In other words, the more you process the food, the more you cause damage to it. So the answer with soy is that the more you eat it, if you take the soybean, it's a wholesome bean. It's a very healthy food that's linked to low rates of cancer. It's almost not even, it's almost chopped up and made into like a tempeh. It's hardly even processed. You make it into soy milk. You make it into tofu, it's minimally processed. You make it into tofu, it's not that much processed, but then you make it into isolated soy protein. You make it into soy hot dogs and soy bacon and soy turkey, and you make it into all kinds of soy nuts and these soy. So the more you process the soy, the more you cause damaging things to occur. And the processed soy products raise a hormone in the body called IGF-1 almost as much as animal products do. And IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1, is one of those key hormones linked to higher rates of breast cancer, higher rates of aging of the body.
So it's the processed stuff that we have to watch out for. So you're saying the actual soybean is the healthiest?
Well, the studies on soybeans show that people who eat more soy in their diet have lower rates of breast cancer,
right,
lower rates of heart attack. It's protective, but not processed soy foods.
Right.
And there's some degree of intermediate processing that we might want to not eat too much of that and mostly eat the ones that are moderately or non-processed, like edamame, or soybeans made in a soup from
right,
dried soybeans, and not eating all your soy as sweetened flavored soy milk or a soy hot dog or something.
Yes.
So I don't think the question is soy as much as how much you process the
right,
soy to get it there.
It's really good. It's a good distinction. You talk about nuts and seeds. What about, our kids, peanut butter? Peanut butter...
Peanut butter is not the healthiest way to eat nuts because it's roasted and there's like salt or there's whatever it is, but peanut doesn't taste very good when it's raw. But even the fact that it's not it's probably the least healthy nut, the eating of it still has been shown to be beneficial in the fact that people who eat peanut butter on a regular basis, they're reducing their other intake of proteins and fats. It's still a beneficial food that has. So even though it's the least healthy of the nuts, it's still not necessarily bad. Of course, I want you to eat a healthier type of peanut butter.
Right.
But here's the thing. A little bit of the real healthy stuff, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts, pistachio nuts, the real healthy nuts, just a little bit is dramatically protective against cancer.
Wow.
Dramatically. They did a study last year that was published that showed that women who already had breast cancer, and they followed them for 10 years, some died, some did well, some, and the ones that ate a little bit of lignans every day from chia seeds or flax seeds, just a little bit, had 70% lower risk of death than those who didn't eat the nut, those little bit of seeds every day. You have to eat a lot. That means
pretty astonishing.
It's astonishing because these weren't people who radically changed their diet and did all the healthy stuff I want them to do. They just added the little bit of seeds to their otherwise unhealthy diet, and they had a 70% reduction of death. We're talking here about how critical some of these foods are.
Yes.
Like the study on women who eat mushrooms every day. Now, they didn't eat a lot of mushrooms. They just ate 10 grams of mushrooms a day. That's about a mushroom the size of your finger. And women who ate a mushroom every day had a 64% lower risk of incidence of breast cancer when followed over that 20-year period. And just mean the one mushroom. They didn't follow all the stuff I want them to do, just had the one thing, just the mushroom itself. What I'm saying is here is when you synergistically put together all these individual pieces of the puzzle that affect our risk of breast cancer and effective longevity, and you put them all together in a diet style, it even magnifies their effect, and we get dramatic protection that in people we're not taking advantage of. We're not taking advantage of recent nutritional science or modern nutritional science. It's so powerful to give people the opportunity to live a longer and better life.
Which points to what you said right in the beginning of the first show is that our cure comes from food, and it doesn't have to be huge quantities of food. One of the questions I had to ask you, because as I read pieces of the books and I couldn't find oil. I know you said olive oil is like worse than butter in terms of calories. Do you use oil anywhere? Like, what do you put on salads?
Sure. Well, I didn't say olive oil is worse than butter. I just want to correct that.
No, okay, I'm sorry. Then you said refined or extracted oils, including olive oil, are rich in calories and low in nutrients.
Right.
Fat, such as olive oil, can be stored on your body within minutes. Ounce for ounce, it is the most fattening, calorically dense food on the planet.
Right. It's 120 calories per tablespoon. Now, let me say that again. That all oil, not just olive oil, every oil has the same amount of calories. It's an extracted processed foods. So should you eat the walnut or the walnut oil? Should you eat the sesame seed or the sesame seed oil? Should you eat the olive or the olive oil, the avocado or the avocado oil? Should you eat the pecan or the pecan oil? And here's the point. So when I make a salad dressing, I mix in sesame seeds and cashews and walnuts with some, I'll use tomato sauce or an orange or blood orange vinegar or flavor, I'll make a most incredible gourmet, delicious salad dressings with roasted garlic and, fantastic delicious salad dressings. And the fat will come from the whole nut or seed. Because when you take in that whole nut or seed with the lignans that prevent breast cancer and the sterols and stanols that prevent breast and prostate cancer, all those fat calories aren't biologically available to the body. The sterols and stanols act like an intestinal sponge that suck actually saturated fat out of the bloodstream and remove it into the toilet bowl for excretion. They reduce cardiac irritability, preventing cardiac arrhythmias, lower the seizure threshold, protect the brain against aging, increase fatty acid oxidation. I can give you 10 different reasons, and encourage weight loss, actually, and control diabetes better, which the oil didn't do. So what we're saying here is that
eat the whole food.
The whole food, all the calories are not biologically available to the body. When you process it into an oil, it's absorbed very rapidly. When you put the nut or seed, it's absorbed very slowly over hours. When you take it in an oil form, it's absorbed in minutes. Now that would be okay if you're a farmer working behind a heavy plow 10 hours a day in the field, needing 3,000, 4,000 calories a day. But at 100 calories a tablespoon, most people are taking 3 or 4 tablespoons of salad dressing with oil on it. They're having, just take 3 tablespoons. That's 360 calories of dressing on a bowl of vegetables of 30 to 40 calories, which vegetables have almost have so low in calories. So I tell people, then forget the salad, just drink the dressing straight from the bottle.
Okay. So when you prepare foods, do you use oils at all?
I try to minimize that.
Okay.
I try to use less oil, and obviously, I sometimes like to have olive oil on a salad or make a dressing with olive oil once in a while, but I'm really minimizing that once in a while, proportional to, how much exercise I may have done, or if I've gone for a long run, I can have, but I don't want to see oil as something I use liberally, and because it's very fattening, and I'm talking to people who maybe aren't doing as much exercise as I'm doing. I'm talking to the average American out there who's sitting at a desk job all day, who's overweight, and I want to remove those low nutrient calories with high nutrient density and give them more calories with a higher micronutrient density that have more volume and appetite suppression effects. So I'm trying to remove those unnecessary foods from their diet and the high calorically dense food from their diet as much as I can.
Right.
So I want to consider that oil in that category of foods that really you have to be very careful of.
Yes. And this is not just about being slim. This is about great health. And you can't have great health if you're overweight, is what you're saying.
Yes, people want to think that. They want to think, I can be overweight and in good health, but in reality, if you're feeding your body with excess calories, then you're increasing the possibility you're going to get cancer or some serious illness and later, you're shortening your lifespan. And you're eating when you're not hungry. You're doing things to accelerate the aging process. So we're in an environment where all Americans are overweight, but obviously the idea that we can eat healthier, control our health destiny, not be overweight, maintain a healthy weight for our whole life, it's unusual, but it's becoming more central. Mm-hmm. We have health, produce sales, organic sales, people getting into healthy eating. Mm-hmm. Just the sales of my books, the success of my television show, just the fact that I've been doing this for 20 years. I haven't changed my message that much in 20 years. But now I'm seeing the American population is huge into really now, we're building armies of people all over the country who are into really health nowadays, and it's so exciting to see that. And I'm getting so much personal satisfaction and reward from watching people get better and turn their health around. Like when they say, I got this email the other day where a person said he was literally on his deathbed with AIDS and COPD or heart disease and obesity, and he's really giving up on life, ready to die. And his daughter was over 380 pounds as well, both, living with him. And he saw my show on PBS, my television show, and said, "That's it. I'm seeing if I'm doing it. We're changing. He texted his daughter, we're changing. So she, you know, so anyway, he wrote me a letter that he's, you know, his AIDS, his high CD4 counts came down, his viral load came down to nothing. He's no longer has active HIV, you know, active AIDS anymore. It's in remission. He got rid of his diabetes, his heart disease. He dropped his weight. His daughter lost weight, got over diabetes. You know, he wrote me the, I get these warm, fuzzy letters from people that have totally changed
saving their lives.
saving their lives, and people with advanced heart disease all these times who may have been dead. So you know, it's that don't underestimate the power that excellent nutrition has to change people's lives, and it's really, and they're excited. They become enthused because they didn't just have a personal victory of recovery themselves, like winning the Olympics, but they become role models. They want to tell their story, and they can beneficially affect other people around them in a way that's respectful, because they're respected because they got their health back, they're doing the right thing, they're a role model, they can be looked up to, and I think it's spreading. It's really
I think so too, and you know, even when you hear on the news that, you know, they're changing the diet in schools.
Schools, they're no longer bringing junk food into the schools anymore.
Yeah.
That's been I couldn't, you know, finally, they're telling parents, stop bringing cupcakes and all kinds of junk into the schools anymore. That's a big new thing.
Yes, yes. I wanted to ask you about fish, because everybody assumes if they're eating fish, they're eating healthy. I think you say something sort of not agreeing with that in one of your books. Well,
I mean, you know, if you're going to eat an animal product, then I want the animal product to be, like we said earlier, I want the 27% of animal product consumption in the American diet to be down to 10% or less. Right? So we can eat more room on the plate to fit more vegetation, that is the anti-cancer effects, and also because the recent studies that show that animal protein, the concentrated animal protein, like the concentrated soy, isolated soy protein, raises IGF-1. And IGF-1 is insulin-like growth factor 1. And like I described at the other show, we looked at the Korean diet, and as the animal products in Korea went from about 6.5% of calories up to 9%, and now I think now it's up to 16% of calories, the breast cancer rate went from 1% to 12%. Didn't reach the 18% in this country, the incidence rate, but the point is that the major factor causing the breast cancer rate to go up is the increased availability and consumption of animal protein, which raises IGF-1. A lot of people have heard of the experiment in the biosphere, where people caloric restricted, they fed them less calories, they put them in that biosphere in the Midwest, and they wouldn't let them eat so much, and they found that the biological parameters that enabled animals like monkeys and rats to double their lifespan didn't occur in the humans when they caloric restricted. They still had high IGF-1 and high aging markers. And they found this because they were still eating 30% of their calories from animal protein, even as restricted calories. In order to get the same biological effects, you have to restrict calories and restrict high biological protein. So the answer to your question is on fish, is that much of the commercial fish is polluted food. It's not it's not the same natural fish we would eat in a pristine environment 100 years ago.
Right.
So we have to look to get fish that's in natural waters, that aren't polluted. The farm-raised fish, you know, are fed, you know, don't have the omega-3 that the wild salmon do, and they color them with a chemical coloring to make them look red. You know, so fish is not the same as the fish of yesteryear. And even if it was, I want people to keep the animal products restricted in their diet, not think more is better.
Right.
So some fish, look for cleaner fish. A small amount of fish in your diet is okay, but don't think that if a small amount is okay or good, a large amount is better, because we still want to maintain, if you're eating animal products, those animal products below that 10% mark, because once you go above 10%, you see IGF-1 start to skyrocket precipitously, and you get into that danger zone that can increase the risk of breast cancer.
There are two questions I want to ask. The first one is, so we're eating a lot of vegetables.
Yes.
Does it make a difference how much is raw and how much is cooked, or if they're frozen, or if we're getting them from the local farmer?
Yes, it makes a difference. The first thing you have to remember is that we do need to eat some raw vegetables. Everything should not be cooked. And I tell people to put a big sign in the refrigerator that says the salad is the main dish. Slap it right in there. Big sign, and have at least one large salad every day, with, of course, a healthy dressing on top, not an unhealthy dressing on top.
Right.
But yes, so there are more than 200 epidemiologic studies linking lower rates of cancer to the higher consumption of raw vegetables. Keep in mind that raw foods have less caloric bioavailability. That means when I take a carrot and I eat it raw, I can't get all the calories out of it. When I cook it, I get more calories out of it. So if I'm looking to lose weight, eating more raw and less cooked will accelerate weight loss. Now, on the other hand, you could say, well, cooked carrots, you get more availability of beta-carotene because you cooked it. Well, tomatoes are, that's true. You get more of the lutein, you get more of the lycopene out of tomatoes, for example, or red peppers when you cook them. But red peppers and tomatoes are foods that are low in calories and have a low glycemic response even if you cook them. So they're good to cook those foods. So it's a very complicated question that involves a lot of science to answer it. The bottom line is that we should do a mixture of raw and cooked. We should try to eat more cooked, we should try to eat more cooked foods. And when we do cook our foods, we should cook them in a way that doesn't burn them or blacken them. We should make soups, like the water prevents the burning. We should make stews, we should steam. We should try not to overcook food, so as we cook all the good out of them. Don't make the broccoli so it's mush. Lightly cook it so it still maintains more of its nutrients. So the answer is, yeah, I want people to eat a lot of raw. There's a lot of advantages to eating raw food. And when you're eating cooked foods, don't cook it in a conservative manner, not to destroy everything that was there.
I'm going to ask you 2 quick questions because we've got 2 minutes left.
We only got 2 minutes left. Wow.
Alcohol. Wine, a glass of red wine is good for you or not good for you, depending on, what year you're reading the information.
Well, if you're eating a diet style that's going to promote heart attack, if you want to be on the American diet or be eating burgers and bacon, and you have a high risk of heart attack, then alcohol could use to thin the blood like an aspirin can and prevent clotting. So there's some benefit to alcohol added on top of a clot or heart attack promoting diet. There's no advantage to the alcohol if you're not going to eat a dangerous diet. It's only advantage if your diet's dangerous.
Is it bad for you?
It increases the risk of breast cancer. The European studies show that with women in particular, 1 glass of wine a day increased risk of breast cancer by 12% in the largest European studies. It's a significant statistic, correct. So
coffee.
Coffee has some beneficial phytonutrients in it, but because of the presence of the caffeine, it keeps you addicted. And it takes away your connectivity between your natural instinctual drives for hunger. So when you're drinking coffee regularly, you don't know when you're hungry or not because you're thinking your headaches and the withdrawal from caffeine is directing you to eat more food. So it's not that the coffee itself is dangerous. It's just
what it does.
It's just it's still an addictive substance that kind of and it's kind of better not to have to be disconnected between the body's natural instinctual signals because it's hard to know how much to eat when you're on drinking coffee. So the coffee itself isn't that dangerous a product. You're not putting a lot of sugar and milk in it, of course.
Right.
Yeah. So moderately, and I prefer you not to have it, so I like the people to really not get a caffeine withdrawal headache and think they got to eat a meal because they're headaches, so let them not to feel caffeine withdrawal so they can know because they can actually in touch with their body's biological instinctual sensations.
And I just want to reiterate something we talked about in the break. Your message is, clean your body so you understand its symptoms and what it's telling you, whether you're hungry, not hungry.
Right.
But the idea is only eat when you're hungry. The idea that you should snack, and as you said, snack is overeating if you're not hungry.
Right.
So the bottom line is eat when you're hungry, eat your vegetables, eat less animal protein, yes?
Yes, well, the point you're making is absolutely proper and correct. But I'm saying that people aren't going to feel real hunger, that they first have to get healthy before they're able to sense real hunger. And that takes time and effort of eating healthy enough to achieve that. So they can't tell people what you're saying.
First get healthy.
They can't do that because they're not going to feel real hunger in that.
Dr. Fuhrman, we are at the end of our time. I'm sure we could have done 5 segments. Thank you so much for being here. I recommend that everyone read your books and get committed to getting healthy.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
My name is Natasha Sherman. Thank you for joining us.